Hello people, welcome to the Imperfect Tesla, and I have a question for you. So if you have a Tesla, you have a Frunk, right? There's different ways of closing the Frunk, and this is going to be focused primarily more on Model Y. Probably applies to Model 3 also, but I have a question for you. When you have your Frunk open and you want to close it, how do you close it? Do you just press on the logo? Do you use your hands on right in the middle, press anywhere? Do you use two hands to like press on either side of the logo and all that good stuff? Well, however way you do it, there is a proper way of doing it. Tesla tells you to use two hands on either side, sure. But what if I tell you you don't have to worry about how to close your Frunk? There's a way you can do that is totally hands-free. You can keep your hands full, keep it free, not be there, just from your car, anywhere. This modification is, in my opinion, what I think is by far the most useful modification you can make to your Tesla. And what is this modification? It's the auto Frunk. Basically, your Frunk automatically opens and closes at the touch of a button. So either from your app or from your car. You don't have to get out of the car to go open the Frunk. You can be in your car, open it up, have your delivery folks put stuff in there, close from your car. Your hands are full. You have a finger to get to your app and press a button. Auto Frunk. Like I said, I think is the most practical, the most useful modification that anybody can do. We do with our family. Of course, we go grocery shopping, we do all that kind of shopping, and we use the Frunk a lot in my family. My wife especially, when she goes grocery shopping, everything usually goes in the Frunk. We've put all sorts of things in the Frunk. If it can fit in the Frunk, it goes in the Frunk, right? And so we are pretty heavy users of the Frunk in my household. And so what do I have in here? So of course, like I said, it's an auto Frunk. There are a few brands out there that do this, that have this auto Frunk, I call it device, or that modification that you can do. No, there's a few popular ones out there. The one I have here is from a brand called Satonic. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. This is just something that I'm doing by myself, but it's from a brand called Satonic, and the auto Frunk mod, it's probably about the same thing as you would get in your other brands. I've compared them. It's practically the same thing. You might have a bit of a difference in the instruction. You go on the website and you can order the brand, and the brand, they've been graceful enough to offer a discount code for anybody that's ordering through this link, or using this discount code. It's a 20% off discount, which is big. I think typically the brand itself offers about a 15% discount, so this is a little bit more than what I've seen from the brand. Typically you get 20% off, and it's for anything you want to order. So 20% off. The code is TIT20, so that's TIT20. And before folks go, TIT, what are you trying to say? That's from the Imperfect Tesla. So TIT20, get you 20% off for on the site. They ship pretty fast. This comes from China, but it ships pretty fast. I ordered it and it came in like 4 or 5 days. I was pretty surprised. I thought it was gonna be like 2 weeks, but it was like 5 days. It came in. So check out the link. If you decide to order, use the code. And I'm going to go through, so in this video here, I'm going to go through how I got this installed. It's pretty, I won't say it's too laborious or it's too intensive or too hands-on, but if you determine and you don't mind getting into the weeds of things, I think you can do it. The only challenge I'm going to say here is on the driver's side, it's a little bit of a tight space. It's not that tight, but there's a few things you got to work with to get into the struts in there. That's just a caveat. But if you got a couple hours or so and you want to do this, it's something that I think anybody can do. I'm also list the tools you need in here. For the most part, you need probably you need a wrench, and I'm going to put a link in there too for the mini wrench that I got. It comes in very handy because, like I said, working in tight spaces, you don't have room to use really big tools. So I want to try to have everything, as small as possible. So I'll put a link in there for the mini wrench that I use. And this mini wrench also has a X port on the other side, so you can use your X bit at the same time. So you need one of that. You need some sockets here. I think for the most part, one or two is what I use in here. You need a pick tool. That is really important. You can try to get around with using like a flathead screwdriver, but it's probably going to be a little bit harder. You need a pick tool, so I have a link in there too. And honestly, that's about it. It's your wrench and your pick tool and your hex bit for the most part. And as I go through this video, I have a voiceover on it for some parts, but at the same time too, I've got text on the screens for key parts. So you're gonna see, you're gonna hear the audio, you're gonna see text come up on the screen also. So if I'm talking too fast or anything and you're not sure what I'm saying at any point, there's gonna be text for you for key things to note. And then in some cases too, I have double shots. So I've got like one that's a close-up direct view, and I've got one that's like an overview shot, just to give you different perspectives of how things look and what you should be seeing as you're doing it. So hopefully that helps you. And if you get through this, you have any questions or anything, feel free to put in the comments. I'm pretty responsive, so if you have any questions or anything or feedback, put in the comments. If you are not subscribed, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video. We have a few other things coming down the line that we'll be talking about shortly. So again, subscribe and let's jump into the installation. As I mentioned, this is from the brand called Satonic. They shipped from China. It was pretty fast. It was a little bit cheaper than the brand out there, but like I said, same hardware, just different names on it. So we're doing some little brief unboxing here. Just gonna unbox a little bit and tell you what's in there, what's in the package. And this one came with a free Frunk LED light, which I haven't installed yet. But in the kit, you've got your instruction manual. It's not as helpful like a video is. You've got pictures and it tells you do this, but it's not, I couldn't really follow it that much. You've got your left and right strut brackets, which is what you will mount the stuff in. You've got your wiring for the struts, the motor, actuator, and all that stuff in that bundle. You've got the actual module itself or the brain box, and then you've got the struts. So the struts are motorized, that's why you have wires in them. So you've got two of them for the left and the right. And then you also have you got some zip ties and double-sided tape. They come in handy later in the installation. And then you have the motor, and they've got the front locking module, so that works with your actual front lock. And then with the wiring, you've got a power unit here. It's a small wire unit, that power unit that goes to the 12 volt positive terminal. And of course, that's the wiring up, opened up to show you what that looks like. So different length based on which part of the device it connects to. So to get started, first we're going to do is take off this rear apron behind the front. It's held by clips. There's no screws in here, so just simply pull up and you're good to go. And then from there, we are going to take off the front bucket. It's a 10mm socket that you need in here, or you can use a wrench, recommended socket. And so there are 4 screws in here. There's two screws in the front and then 2 in the bucket itself. And so you take off those screws. And then once you've done that, you need to use a pry tool to remove that emergency release button. So you pull up the plastic tab first and then you unclip the light, and that's the last piece. Once you do that, you are good to go. You should be able to just take the frunk and then lift it up and out, and all done. Quick vacuuming, clean up a little bit. And then from there, I've got the motor with the HEPA filter that spans the whole front. So you need 2 10mm socket also to unscrew that on both sides. And once you do that, you simply just pull up and it comes apart. So now with everything done, I was gonna try to take off the driver side wiper to give me some more room, using 60 millimeter socket for that. I tried, but I didn't have much luck. I got the screw out, but I couldn't pull out the wiper. I don't know if I was not doing it right or something, but either way, I decided not to force it. I just give up on it. But if you're able to do that, that might be something that you can do. And then also try to make sure you have something you can use to support the hood, like a mop handle or a broom handle. So I just did some testing here, make sure what I had was going to support it. And then you need to use a pick tool, because now we're going to take off the strut. So using a pick tool, you put into the little groove in there with a clip, and you want to just pull the clip out. And as you're doing that, you can push or pull the strut off from the body too. Everything should come out. So this is at the top. And so with that done, you basically will lose support. So once you take off one, you have to be careful and support that hood. I used a little bit of towel there to make sure I'm not scratching the inside. But so with that all done, then you can then try to go to the bottom of the strut. I used the wrench here. I just basically use the wrench to loosen the nut, and then from there your finger should be good to just unscrew it the rest of the way. It's pretty easy and wasn't hard to take off with the finger. And once you do that, then you've got the whole strut that's now basically off, and that's what it looks like. Some folks recommend you take off the clip from the bottom too. I just took off the whole screw because everything has to come off too anyway. And then of course you're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I did the passenger side first, but now I'm doing the driver side because that's a little bit tighter space in there. So same thing with the pick tool, unclip the top part, and then once you have the top part unclipped from the hood, then use your wrench to loosen the bottom part of the strut, and then you can use your finger to finish it the rest of the way, and it comes out. But again, just be mindful, there are lots of things in that. It's a lot tighter space, especially at the top there. You've got a lot of things sticking out that will make it a bit of a hard to walk through. So if you've got really big arms or something, just something to be mindful of, that it's a bit of a tight space, but it's doable. So now that I have both, I've got both original Tesla struts out, we're going to put the brackets now in place for both left and right. It comes with screws that you can use, and so I put the screw into the bracket first, and then I put that onto the body. I hand tighten a little bit, and then a mini socket wrench and a hex bit is very useful here, and so that's what I use in here. I use my hand to get it started, and then I use the mini socket wrench and the hex bit to finish it up all the way and get it all tightened in there. So make sure you have it in there pretty tight, because that's gonna be a moving. You don't want to make that loose. So and then same thing on the other side too. And there's a way it's set up where you can't get it wrong. It's got like little edge, curved edges that makes it fit in place. And with the brackets in place, now we're gonna do the struts. The struts they're not labeled left or right. You can put one, any one either way. So just grab one and put it in there. I will tell you the mounts on the struts, one will face, they have to turn the face opposite way, because the bottom will face the body and the top will face the hood. So if you're able to do that before you mount it, that's great. If not, you can turn them while you are mounting it. So I'm starting with the bottom first. I'm going to then try to mount that up, clip it, push it into the little ball joint that's on the bracket. So you can see there, just use some force to push it in, and it snaps into place. And then same thing, make sure, like I mentioned, you have to make sure the top socket is facing the hood, and then from there I basically just align it together. I find that if you go from an angle, it's a lot easier. Since you're trying to like push it in directly, if you go like try to wiggle it in, it makes it a lot easier. And so that's that. We've done the left side, which is the passenger side. So now we're going to move to the driver side. same thing at an angle. If you angle it, wiggle it in, it's a lot easier. So you do the bottom and then you also do the top, and once you have both of them in place, you are good to remove your support. Like I said, it's a very tight space in there on the driver's side, so it needs some patience and some determination, but it's doable. So now both of them are in, like I said, so now you can take off your support and the hood will stay by itself. I did some testing just to make sure it's not falling through anything, and so far it held its place, so all good there. With that in place, now we can go into the rest of the process, which is setting up the actuator, the locks, and everything. So here, everybody recommends you mark your current lock module position because Tesla has it already in place. You don't want to move it to where you not have it too far to the left, to the right. So permanent marker, or if you have a silver colored marker, something that's visible, you could do that. I use black marker, I was able to see it, but you do want to, I would do recommend you mark the outline on the body. And then of course with your socket wrench, you're losing the screws up there, and that comes apart, and then from there you can just take off the wiring, pull out the red tab, and then you unclip. And then the next thing is you want to separate, you want to remove like the spring that's in place right now, and this part here can be tricky. You need I recommend using a long nose plier. If you don't have one, get one. So we're gonna remove that little spring thing, just basically just take it out from where it is, and I just let it rest right behind, because we're gonna actually put on the new Frunk, there's a little hook that you have to mount onto that that locking actuator, whatever that is, and then you put the spring back. So you have to take off that, you want to take off that spring thing first, and then you align both the original Frunk lock and the new one, and then you hook up that hook that I just showed in there. And once you have it hooked up, you want to put the spring, pull it back in place. So as long as you have the spring on top of the hook from the new from the auto Frunk, that's what you want. So that way the spring is holding it down. It's not gonna come off, but it's sped up here, but it took some time to work. But so just, you know, be mindful of that. And like I said, the auto Frunk lock mounts on the outside, so towards the car itself. The Tesla lock is towards the outside, and then the auto Frunk mounts behind it, and it's got little placements that will make you not miss it. And so what I did then was I basically got that set up in place. I put the screws back on just to hold it down for a little bit so that I'm not losing anything, and then I figured I was going to come back and do some tightening. But this is where that original marking you did comes into play, because you can then align and say, okay, am I back in the space that it was originally? Again, the goal of that is to help you not move off track, so you're not too far left, too far right, and all that good stuff. So with that in place, you can then get your socket wrench tight. I would say not to tighten all the way too hard just yet, because you're gonna have to do stuff still, and you might need to move things around a little bit. But I just didn't want to be too loose, so I just tightened up a little bit. So now I'm taking the this is the motor from the auto Frunk, and the motor comes with an emergency release. And so what I'm doing is first I pass the emergency release pull through the tow hook hole port in here. You can just push that out, it's a plastic thing, and then you feed it in through from the inside through the bumper out here. And using one of the zip ties, I just tie it up together and then put the cover back. And so from the inside, you can see that's what it looks like from the inside, and that's connected to the motor. Now let's talk about wiring a little bit here. That's the power module that will get connected to the 12-volt battery. We have the lithium. I have the lithium ion battery in this one. So the body is where your negative terminal goes. There's a few options that you can use, and then the red is where the positive terminal goes. To disconnect the batteries, you want to pull up the green tab first. So pull up the green tab, and then you pull out the black piece and then pull up. It was hard to use, so I had to go get put some gloves on, and it was a lot easier. So again, just pull up the green tab, pull out the black tab, and then pull up. That disconnects the 12-volt battery. You also want to disconnect the high voltage battery. It's towards the left there, so it's a little clip there. You pull out the red tab, and once you pull out the red tab, you can unclip that, and you see everything shut down. And so with power all shut off now, I started doing the wiring. You've got the labeling is not quite clear for where the wires go, but the connectors all are different and unique that you can't really miss it. So I've got the two struts plugged in. You've got wiring for a few other things. I'm going to show you where the wiring goes in a little bit here, but like I said, even though it's not labeled clearly, you can't really miss which wiring goes to which port, because all the ports are all different. So we'll get through the wiring, and then I'll show you where each thing goes in a little bit. All right, so in here there is it's a D6 wire that goes to the Tesla actuator. It's towards the passenger side bottom, and then there's a D7 wire that goes to the Frunk locking module. And then there's the D8 wire that goes to the Tesla Frunk locking module. So basically those two are the locking piece. And then there's a D5 wiring that you connect to the auto Frunk motor. And then you've got a D4 that is wired to the front strut. I'll send as a D3. So D3 and D4 are your struts wiring. And then you also have this is a D2 that connects to auto Frunk speaker, so you get beeps when you open and close. So that's the wiring for that. And then everything, the hall has a big port that connects to the actual module, or I call it brain box. So now I'm going to do the wiring for to get in the Frunk 2 power. So I'm using the body terminal here for the negative, and I'm connecting negative first. You don't have to take the bolt out all the way. I just loosen it a little bit, and then the wiring has a clip at the end of it that you just basically you can clip it into. I put it on the bottom, so I put it between the body and the original wiring, and so you slide that in there, and then you tighten the bolt back, and that locks that in place. So we've got a negative terminal connector. As I said, there's a few options in there. I like that one there because it looked like the least busiest, and it was clear, I could see it. And then after that is the positive wiring. So again, don't forget, everything is all shut off. 12 volt battery and a high voltage battery. The positive wiring, it's a clip also. I put it into the positive terminal there. You do get a screw that's included, so that's in the front, and then I use the screw to basically tighten the positive part together. I use my little wrench to make sure that's a tight fit. And so with that, you've got both the positive and the negative wired, and after that you just have to plug things back in, and we'll see if we have power going to the module. And to plug things back in is the same way in reverse. You take your 12 volt battery, high voltage battery, connect that back together. 12 volt battery, you push it in, and then you push the black tab in, and then the green tab down, and if it's all good, you should see a red blinking light on the module. And so now I'm going to do a quick test. So I connected the emergency release back to the original wiring. You push the button, and when you do that, the front should close, which success. I push the button to stop it again, and one more time to open it. So at this point, we are good to go. And now that we are all done with all that stuff, it's just need to do some cleanup work, putting the wires back together. I was trying to figure out where to put the auto front motor, and I wasn't quite sure where, but I decided to mount it basically to the upper arm, right there in the front. So I didn't want to put it, where it was going to be too loose. So I just basically attached it to the upper part of that front bar there, and I used the zip ties to lock it in place. I think I used a couple zip ties in there, but that was where I found that was best, that it was gonna stay and also won't be in the way of me putting the front bucket back in. So if you put it just anywhere, it might interfere with you putting that front bucket back in. So just make sure you check where you want it to be and everything. I did use a double-sided tape a little bit here too to hold it in place. That way, just something extra to secure it in place. So double-sided tape and then zip ties, and I had that locked in. And then I also want to make sure wherever I put the brain box module didn't interfere with the air filter. I first put it initially on the one of the support beams there, and it did not work. And so what I ended up doing was attaching it to the tube for the windshield washer. So which I kind of like, because what that meant then was I had the light side facing outside. That was the best place I could find that it wasn't going to interfere with the HEPA air filter and also all that good stuff. So now that that's done, you can put your air filters back. Basically everything that we did before, now in reverse. Air filters go back, you screw it back in, and now we can put the Frunk bucket back in. And so again, everything is just in reverse. So Frunk bucket goes back in. Make sure you get your wiring out for that emergency release, and everything should lock in place. And then once you have that, just get your 4 screws back. Also, don't forget, if you were able to take off your wiper, don't forget to also make sure you put that back. You don't want to drive away without the wiper being back in place. So now again, just do one more test all the way to see. I had a bit of a bump sticking out on that side. The front was almost flush, and so just gonna see what I need to do to get that part all fixed. And so now that's all resolved, get my rear apron. Again, this is all clipped, so just clip it back in, and at that point you are good to go. You now have an auto frunk, and this is probably one of, I'll probably say the most useful mod anybody can make to their Tesla. If you don't have an auto frunk, I think it's the most useful one. Some folks might beg to differ, but I think for me, in my opinion, this is the most useful mod you can make, especially if you use that frunk a lot. All right, so that was the modification. Like I said, now you have hands-free for your frunk, and hopefully this is something that helps you, just get the most out of your car and makes life a little bit easier for you with one less thing to do and all that good stuff. Again, if you're not subscribed, don't forget to hit that button, like, comments, questions, suggestion, feedback, anything, please put in the comments. Like I said, I read them all. I'm pretty engaged. And again, if you want to order this, I've got a link in the description. Don't forget the discount code of TIT20 that gets you 20% off ordering through Satonic. And so again, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this and it's been helpful for you, and we'll see you next time.